back to the Larry Kudlow Show.
Welcome back, folks. We're going to bring in Ambassador Robert O'Brien, my dear friend, former national security advisor in the Trump administration, and now chairman of American Global Strategies. Robert, thank you for this. One thing I want to start with, looking at Mr. Biden at the debate Thursday night, such a poor performance, so fragile, couldn't put sentences together. I mean, I don't know what the medical issues are. I'm not smart enough to know, but the guy looked awful. He could barely stand up, barely make sense. Robert, some people are saying if you were Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin or the mullahs in Iran or any of our enemies, adversaries, they would take a look at that, and Biden becomes a national security risk. Whoever wins in November, Biden's going to be president for the next 6 months anyway. And what is going to happen? And I wanted you to assess that national security risk. Will our enemies take advantage? Will they try to become adventurous? What do you think of all this?
Well, Larry, thank you for having me on the show. And the debate was really eye-opening. I was really heartbroken for the country to watch President Biden's performance. And I was glad to see President Trump won the debate. He was terrific and witty and funny and great on substance, as you and I both know. And I think the American people got to see with President Trump what we saw in the Oval Office day in, day out in the White House. But for President Biden, I felt terrible for himself and for his family. And going to your point, it's a very dangerous 6 months for America because he's still the commander-in-chief. And we want President Trump to win the election. He will win the election. The polls look great for him today. But President Biden is still our president. And, you know, our foreign adversaries, Larry, and you know this, they have doctors and psychologists watch these performances. And you can imagine that in Beijing and in Moscow and in Tehran, their best specialists are watching it, and they see a very weak president, someone who's really not in command of the situation. You know, hopefully Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, and the other advisors are, you know, keeping a steady hand on the tiller. But it's a very dangerous time for America because we look weak, and as you know, weakness is very provocative.
I mean, I'm concerned. I mean, let's take the Middle East. You know, might Iran do something crazy because they see Biden weakness? He's the commander-in-chief, and he sure didn't look like a commander-in-chief. I mean, actually, it was Trump who looked like the commander-in-chief on that debate. They were side by side. But the reality is we have Mr. Biden, and we have his team. I mean, to me, the biggest hot spot, the biggest risk is the Middle East. I mean, I don't think China's going to invade Taiwan right now, but maybe I'm wrong. You can comment on it. But, you know, Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, I don't know. You tell me, Robert O'Brien. But to me, that's the huge risk that they might pull something.
Well, they might, and they could break out to nuclear weapons very quickly. You know, thank goodness Bibi Netanyahu, or your friend and my friend, is in control in Israel. He's a very strong leader and tough guy, and I think the Iranians have to factor Bibi in. So we've got that going for us. But, we don't want to have to outsource our national security and our strength to a foreign leader, even a good friend like Prime Minister Netanyahu. So, of course, the Iranians are looking at this and they're figuring out what they can get away with. You have the Houthis shooting down or trying to blow up our ships in the Red Sea. We've got Kataib Hezbollah still attacking American soldiers and sailors in Iraq. We've got Hezbollah threatening Israel. So it's a very dangerous time. And going to your point about Taiwan, maybe Xi Jinping will figure this is his best opportunity, his best chance to get Taiwan. But right now they're involved in a low-intensity conflict with the Philippines in the South China Sea. And the Philippines is a treaty ally of the United States of America. So they're a longtime friend of the region. And the Chinese are literally attacking them in their islands, attacking the fishermen, trying to take over their territory in an exclusive economic zone. So, that'll certainly continue because there's nothing about Biden's performance that would suggest strength for America.
Robert, we have a treaty with Philippines. Are we bound to defend them if they're attacked?
We are, and we are bound to defend them, and we've said we will. But again, the question is, would we? And the Chinese are watching President Biden's performance, and Well, and it's not just his performance in the debate stage, Larry. It's our weakness across the world. It's our weakness in the face of the aggression of Russia against Ukraine, which you and I talked about before the invasion. We did nothing to stop the invasion. Our weakness in Afghanistan, the catastrophic withdrawal that President Trump talked about in the debate. I mean, so we're doing nothing to deter our adversaries, and that's dangerous for America.
Robert, I just wanted to return. We talked to you about this last week. Your piece, your brilliant piece in Foreign Affairs magazine, prestigious Foreign Affairs magazine, The Return of Peace Through Strength, making the case for Trump's foreign policy. Peace through strength. Did Mr. Trump get that message out, do you think, in the debate?
I thought he was terrific on that front, Larry, and he looked strong. He talked about being respected by our adversaries and being, respected by our friends as well. He talked about how he got NATO funding. He talked about how he got Javelin missiles to Ukraine, which saved Ukraine. That was President Trump that saved Ukraine, not President Biden or the Democrats. He talked about, but he went beyond just the military and our armed forces, which he was very supportive of. And he said the members of the armed forces love him, and they do. I've seen that. You've seen it at bases all around the country, around the world, serving Thanksgiving dinner with them in Afghanistan. We went to Bagram. But it's the economic strength, and this is your area, Terry. Decreasing regulation, cutting taxes, making America strong, and that's what allowed us to have a first-class military. We have to be strong economically. We have to put tariffs on the Chinese dumping products on us and protect our industries. Those are the sorts of things that will give us the strength to be able to rebuild our military, and that's your area, and I think you got strong feelings on that, and I think President Trump came across great on the economic front as well as the rebuilding the military and on the foreign policy front.
Yes, he did. It's funny. He was at the Business Roundtable, the CEOs, a couple weeks ago, and I was the interviewer, moderator, and I said to him, Ronald Reagan always argued, if you're strong at home, meaning the economy, you're strong abroad. And I asked him, and he agreed with that. He talked at some length about that, and then he went into tax cuts and deregulation. And I think that's the story. One of the reasons there were no wars breaking out during Trump's administration, in which we served, is we were strong at home, and the world could see that. That plus the fact that we kept oil prices down by producing oil. And I thought I think he could have done more on the energy front in the debate, but just in the last 30 seconds, he was hard on Afghanistan, and I think he was right about that. We would have left with honor. We wouldn't have given up the Bagram Air Force Base, would we?
Never. I mean, that was the way we were going to evacuate American citizens. And I'll tell you one thing. President Trump talked about getting Americans home without paying ransom. As you know, before I was national security advisor, I was his hostage envoy. We never paid a dime in ransom. We got our people home. President Trump would have never left Americans behind in Afghanistan. I would have never pulled the military out before we got our civilians home. Fabulous.
Robert O'Brien, Ambassador Robert O'Brien, former National Security Advisor. Folks, read his article, Foreign Affairs, The Return of Peace Through Strength. I'm Kudlow. We'll take a break, do some stock market work on the other side.